This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. Boom. Suddenly, the ground trembled, and a bamboo-like sharp object quickly emerged and rose up. An irresistible heat spread out like a wave, and everyone's face changed greatly as they quickly retreated in all directions. As soon as Bai Ming Tongfang retreated, the low-level martial sovereigns who were under his protection were immediately exposed to the extreme yang power. At the same time, they were swept away by the heat wave that came at them like a wave. A few one-star martial sovereigns immediately let out blood-curdling screams as their bodies began to melt uncontrollably. Chen Feng also let out a cry of horror. A blue armor appeared on his body, emitting a soft light. It resisted for a moment before being destroyed. But, it also bought Chen Feng a little time. He unleashed his Tiangang sword and shattered the space in front of him, pushing the power of extreme yang to the side again. Then, he turned into a beam of light and fled desperately in Yunxiao's direction. Several rays of light followed behind him. They were also the people who suddenly reacted. While resisting the extreme yang in pain, they also fled frantically. The wind and dust rushed directly past Yunxiao and did not stop until it was hundreds of meters behind him. The extreme yang power here was within his tolerance. At this moment, the armor on his body had already melted away, and most of the water in his body had evaporated due to the extreme yang rays. His skin had also been carbonized and turned black. His eyes were filled with fear and lingering fear as he looked ahead with resentment. There were a few other figures who were not so lucky. In the process of escaping, they could not resist the power of extreme yang and were directly shone through by the powerful sunlight. Their moisture was instantly evaporated completely, turning into dried corpses that fell to the ground and were buried by the dust. There were 8 of them in total. Only Chen Feng and 2 other one-star martial sovereigns who reacted quickly survived. However, they were also covered in wounds, and 3 of them were charred. The other 5 people were completely dead. 5 mummified corpses fell to the ground and were half buried by the yellow sand in just a moment. Just a moment ago, they were all fresh faces, and they had even been moving together under the shade of Bai Ming's party. But now, they were separated by heaven and earth. Looking at the 5 mummified corpses, the 3 survivors were all terrified and trembling. The cultivators of the 3 great sects watched their own sect members die, and their anger soared to the sky. They all turned their cold and questioning eyes towards Bai Ming Tongfeng. Chen Kaihong was so angry that smoke was coming out of his head. He gritted his teeth and said, "Bai Ming Tongfeng, where are your morals?" Bai Ming Tongfeng frowned, but he didn't seem to feel anything was wrong, indifferently saying, "This danger that appeared out of nowhere, can't I avoid it?" Chen Kaihong roared in anger, "With your abilities, you should have been able to escape with everyone else. Yet, you chose to escape on your own and caused everyone to die in vain." Humph, the Bai Ming family's style really lives up to its reputation. Bai Ming Tongfang snorted heavily, a cold look flashed across his face. He instinctively wanted to refute, but everyone was staring at him with burning anger. He knew that he had provoked the public's anger, so he could only suppress his emotions and no longer say anything. A martial sovereign of the 9 heavens was a high-end combat force for any sect, and it was an unbearable loss. Just now, a total of 5 people from the 3 major sects had died. This debt would probably be placed on the Bai Ming family's head. Bai Ming Lifeng also felt a headache coming on. Yunxiao was to blame for starting a feud with 3 major forces for no reason. If he had not pointed out that Bai Ming Tongfang could release a mutation domain, all these troubles would not have happened. His killing intent and hatred for Yunxiao grew stronger. That brat suddenly stopped in front of us. Could it be that he had already predicted that there would be danger here? Bai Ming Lifeng's heart trembled. He turned his head and looked at Yunxiao, who had an indifferent expression on his face, which further proved his guess, and his face turned so dark that it looked like water was about to drip out. "It's not bright. What are you doing?" Luo Yuankai suddenly shouted and glared at a skinny old man. The soul-devouring banner in the old man's hand opened up and flew into the air. It exuded a gloomy aura and a few strange faces were floating in it. Bu Guangliang made a hand seal and the soul-devouring flag spun in the air before returning to his hand. His eyes were filled with shock. Chang Haomiao was also shocked and explained, the dead can't be resurrected. They're all martial supreme powerhouses, so their souls can't be wasted. However, my uncle master couldn't find their souls when he attacked just now. This extreme yang power is so abnormal that it directly destroyed their souls. Everyone's hearts trembled, and an indescribable sense of sorrow welled up in the hearts of those from the 3 sections. Their anger towards Bai Ming Tongfang grew even more. This isn't the time to discuss who's right and who's wrong. We should work together to deal with this demonic beast, Bai Ming Lifeng said, embarrassed. What a good, united. Lord of the Bai Ming family, please forgive the Blade sect for not being able to do that. Chen Kaihong said coldly. The 3 of us will work together, and your Bai Ming family will work together, Luo Yuankai also snorted coldly. The members of the Soul Devourer clan remained silent. However, from their cold and mocking expressions, it was clear that they were disdainful of working with the Bai Ming family. The Bai Ming family suddenly fell into a very passive position. Bai Ming Tongfeng's face darkened as he coldly snorted, could it be that without you 3 sects, my Bai Ming family can't pass? Then let's use our own methods. These words immediately announced the end of the cooperation between the Bai Ming family and the 3 sects, and that they would go their separate ways. The atmosphere suddenly became stiff. Yun Shao was surprised to see the Bai Ming family break off relations with the others, but he was also happy to see it. At that moment, his eyes fell on the demon beast whose body was emitting a glazed light. After pondering for a while, he suddenly realized something and said, this thing is actually Lu Shao. The demonic dragon in his soul was also slightly moved. He exclaimed, you mean the true spirit crystal flame Lightnet's descendant Lu Yan? Yes, Yun Shao said seriously. I've read some information about ancient true spirits in ancient books. The lapis lazuli lightnet seems to be born from the gathering of all the auroras in the world. It has a unique shape, and its whole body exudes a glazed light that is particularly prominent. Although its descendants didn't have the power of true spirit, they still inherited this form. However, this Lu Yan isn't an eye. It should be controlled by some kind of eye race. A true spirit descendant is blocking the way, the demonic dragon laughed. They'll be busy. This Lu Shao shouldn't be very strong, Yun Shao said. If they had the complete power of Lu Shao, they would at least be a 9-stars martial emperor. In addition, this place is under the extreme yang, which is Lu Xiao's favorite environment. It can maximize their power, and even Jiang Churen would not be able to pass through so easily. Perhaps it's been too long, the demonic dragon sighed. I'm almost out of energy. As the 2 of them were talking, the people in front of them seemed to have discussed it. They suddenly split into 2 sides and rushed to Lu Yan's left and right. Each of them exerted their escape technique to the extreme, hoping to escape without fighting. Lu Shao didn't see it move, but its eyes suddenly opened wide and emitted a demonic purple light. The surrounding space was reversed. In an instant, the cultivators who had rushed out were all shocked to find that they had returned to their original positions. This buy-in. Luo Yuankai's expression turned ugly. He gritted his teeth and said, changing time and space, twisting heaven and earth. He's indeed from the eye race. Chen Kaihong's expression was also grave. It seems like we'll have to beat this thing down if we want to get past it. I wonder how strong it is. Will we be able to win? Luo Yuankai said, we can only try to see how strong it is. Otherwise, we can wait here and be automatically teleported away like Yun Shao. Fortunately, this thing doesn't seem to have any malicious intent of attacking. It should only be a guard of the altar. As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Shao suddenly raised his hand and slapped him. The blinding halo in the palm was exactly the same as the extreme yang light above the altar, like a setting sun. You! Chen Kaihong cursed out in shock. Everyone was shocked as they hurriedly flew in all directions to avoid the attack. Lu Yan's palm force fell directly on the sand, but it didn't cause a shock. A halo appeared and then spread out. The temperature of the whole land suddenly rose. So strong. It's actually using extreme yang power as an attack. In this environment, I'm afraid that one side will lose while the other side will gain. Luo Yuankai's face was solemn, and everyone retreated dozens of meters away, watching from a distance. No one dared to take the lead. After Lu Zhao's palm scattered the people of the three sects, his only big eye turned towards the Biming family's side. He also sent out a palm strike, and several rays of extreme yang energy shot out from his palm, bombarding the Biming family. Everyone from the Biming family had a slight change in their expressions. They didn't try to fight back, but turned into birds and scattered. For a time, everyone was scattered around Lu Xiao like a plate of scattered sand. They were all watching quietly, and no one took the initiative to attack. The people of the 7 great sects all had their own thoughts. Who wouldn't be willing to put in more effort? Especially after falling out with the Biming family, they were all waiting for others to make a move. Yunxiao frowned as he watched from a distance. How long will this fight last? He shouted. Let's work together and forget about our past grudges. Defeating this demonic beast in a reasonable manner is the right way. Otherwise, in this extreme yang environment, the longer we waste time, the more dangerous it will be. If there's any hatred, we can resolve it after we're out of here. Everyone understood this principle, but no one was willing to mention it. They were all angry with each other. With Yunxiao as the trigger, things would go smoothly. Luo Yuankai said with a serious face, "You're right, young Master Yun. We have our priorities. Our top priority now is to join forces and fight the enemy." "That's right," Chen Kaihong said. "Our 3 sects should work together. I wonder what Biming Palace is thinking. They won't stab us in the back, will they?" Biming Lifeng was driven mad. When he said that they would work together, all of them were mocking him, but now, when Yunxiao said that they would work together, all of them agreed with him. He was the next master of Biming Palace, so what the hell was that Li Yunxiao? How could these idiots listen to him? But at this moment, he couldn't afford to lose his temper. Biming Tongfang also said, "Everyone must be joking. In the face of a great enemy, we must work together. Even if you have some misunderstandings about me, I, Biming Tongfang, will not take it to heart. As time passes, everyone will naturally understand the sincerity of our Biming Dark Palace." Chen Kaihong snorted coldly to express the dissatisfaction in his heart. Although everyone's words were fake, they knew that since they were working together, they needed a name. It would not be easy to expose them. Biming Tongfang suddenly said in a clear voice, "To show the sincerity of our Biming family, let this old man fight this demonic beast first. Everyone, please hold the line." The people from the 3 sects were secretly happy. Chang Haomiao squinted his eyes and smiled. With Sir Tongfang's help, there's no need to worry about the demonic beasts not being exterminated. Biming Tongfang stepped forward. With every step he took, the cold chi on his body increased a bit. After 3 steps, an extremely blue light suddenly bloomed on his right fist. It was the limit of the cold chi. It directly turned into a light and flickered on the fist wind. Everyone's expression changed slightly. When this fist was formed, the temperature of the entire surroundings dropped, and the pressure of extreme yang decreased sharply. Many people secretly heaved a sigh of relief, thinking that in order to change his image, this old man was probably going to use his real power. Lu Xiao also seemed to feel that this person was extraordinary. He raised his hands high, made a seal on his head, and suddenly slammed down. What? Demonic beasts can also form hand seals? Biming Tongfang was shocked, but he didn't panic. He took a step back and retreated dozens of meters. He condensed a fist force and threw it into the sky. Eh? What's wrong with this old man? Were his eyes playing tricks on him? He's actually hitting the sky? Isn't this too fucking ridiculous? The people of the Biming family are indeed unreliable. Just as everyone was cursing, Not Light from the Soul Devourer clan said, "Could it be that swish swish?" The punch blasted into the sky and turned into an extreme explosion. A blue, cold chi spread in all directions. The fist force hit the spatial node and a crystal-like ice flower bloomed. With the ice flower as the center, little crystals appeared. More and more crystals appeared and began to fill the sky. It's indeed a world of ice. Yunxiao looked at it calmly. He was no stranger to this move. Back then, the palace lord of Baiming Dark Palace had frozen a 1,000-mile mountain range with one move, killing all the living creatures in it. Compared to this move, Baiming Tongfang's move was really a child's play. Dark North Tongfang struck out, and the entire world was instantly frozen in ice. The power of extreme yang was completely repelled, and the range covered a radius of several hundred meters. Everyone was secretly shocked, and began to fear Dark North Tongfang's strength. To be able to freeze such a large area in this environment was enough to show just how terrifying his cultivation was. Dark North Tongfang was also secretly shocked. His full-powered attack had only created such a small world of ice and snow, and the ice crystals in the sky were also beginning to melt. The harshness of the surrounding environment had exceeded his expectations. Under my freezing sky and earth, the connection between the demonic beast and the extreme yang is cut off. This should be the time when its strength is at its weakest. Everyone, attack together. Baiming Tongfang shouted as he also threw out a mirror. It enlarged in the air, gathering all the cold qi in the surroundings and then blasting out. Lu Yan also seemed to be aware that this move was extremely harmful to her. She made a simple seal with her hands in front of her body, and a halo appeared around the big eye, blocking the cold air. Then, the eye flashed, and the entire body of Lu Yan turned into a ball of red fire, growing larger and larger, as if it was going to break open the frozen world. The expressions of the people from the other three sects changed slightly, and they also made their moves. For a time, all kinds of moves were performed, and the light shadows that filled the sky all fell into the flame. Without the suppression of the power of extreme yang, everyone could display their full strength and extinguish Lu Zhao's imposing manner. An eye gradually emerged from the flames. Its pupils were full of fierceness, without any human emotions. As soon as the eye appeared, the flames began to shrink rapidly, compressing into a round ball, but it emitted a heart-palpitating aura. Although everyone's attacks seemed powerful and numerous, they didn't seem to have much power. They didn't seem to hurt much. Not good, retreat. Baiming Tongfang suddenly let out a loud shout. The frozen sky and frozen earth that he was supporting suddenly showed signs of crumbling at this moment, and seeing that the situation was not good, he immediately fled backwards. The rest of the people felt a chill in their hearts. Then, they felt a terrifying and dangerous aura spreading through their bodies, and they retreated in horror. Boom! The fireball exploded and broke through the ice. The ice flower in the sky cracked and disappeared with a bang. A beam of light suddenly shot out from the glaring sun on the altar in the distance, penetrating layers of space and landing on the eye in the flame. An unusually powerful aura continued to rise, becoming stronger and stronger. The flame also gradually shrank, turning into the figure of Lu Xiao. However, its aura was stronger than before. It raised one hand high to receive the power of extreme yang. What do we do? This guy is so powerful. Baiming Lifeng was secretly shocked. He retreated several hundred meters away and stared at the scene with full vigilance. Chen Kaihong said in shock, if its energy can be continuously replenished, how can we fight it? Unless we can kill him in one strike. How do we kill them? But from the way they joined hands just now, it seems that no one really did use their full strength. They were all just doing it perfunctorily. Luo Yuankai said in dissatisfaction. Baiming Tongfang snorted coldly and said, you still have the cheek to say that? Other than my freezing sky and earth punch, which one of you has really used your full strength? Brother Yuankai is really lenient towards himself and strict towards others. If everyone continues to play around like this, we'll really be in trouble, Baiming Lifeng said with an ugly expression. A cold voice suddenly came from the sky, full of disdain and contempt. A bunch of selfish and despicable people. It's a disgrace for us to be part of the 7 great system-allocated sects like you. Everyone's expression changed greatly, and their faces were filled with anger. Their divine senses spread out in all directions, but they could not find any traces. Who is it? Baiming Tongfang asked coldly. If you have the guts, come out and speak. The voice did not appear again, as if it was just passing by. Chen Kaihong said seriously, "You claim to be from the 7 great sections. There are 4 sects gathered here, and the people from the Red Moon City have already walked to the front. The Divine Cloud Palace has been sealed off for many years, and most of them are women. Could you be from the Long family of the Heavenly Mountains of the northern region?" In the distance, Yunxiao's expression also changed slightly. He had not discovered that someone was hiding in the dark until the voice rang out just now. Only then did he vaguely sense that someone was in the void, and this aura was the mysterious people he had sensed before he entered the immortal realm. He did not expect it to be the Long family of Sky Ridge. The so-called Long family of the Heavenly Mountains did not have the surname Long. The reason why they were called Long was that ancient true dragons were the top existences among the true spirits, while the people of the Heavenly Mountains of the North were all supreme martial artists who had the bloodline of the true spirit. A black line suddenly appeared in the air and started to move. Finally, it stopped in the air and slowly tore apart. 3 figures stepped out one by one with dragon-like steps and tiger-like steps, lining up in the sky. They were all awe-inspiring, and a wave of pressure spread out. Their leader had a round face and large ears, with a few strands of beard on his cheeks and a pair of silver-threaded golden rings hanging from his earlobes. All 3 of them exuded an extremely wild aura, seemingly related to the awakening of their true spirit bloodline. Everyone's face was cold and contemptuous, as if they were high and mighty experts looking down on the common people. None of the 7 superpowers were simple. Among them, the one with the largest territory was Baiming Dark Palace, the most mysterious was the Soul Devourer clan, and the one with the longest history was Divine Cloud Palace. The one with the most experts was the Long family of the Northern Heavenly Mountains. Chen Kaihong sneered disdainfully and said, "What's the point of acting all high and mighty? Since we're all part of the 7 great forces, that means that we're on par with each other. If you want to show off your superiority, go find the Saint Realm and the Sea of Soul Formation. You piece of trash." He was extremely disgusted by the 3's previous words and current attitude, and couldn't help but mock them. The rest of the people nodded in agreement and looked back in disdain. "Since you look down on us, we naturally can't be bothered to hang you up." Which of the 7 major forces was not a lofty existence that looked down on everyone? It was indeed very difficult to get them to cooperate with each other openly and honestly. The 3 men from the Long family were furious. Yushua, who was the leader, said coldly, "Our sects are evenly matched, but that doesn't mean that the 3 of us are on the same level as ants like you. We can't even take down a descendant of the crystal flame Guangliang. What a disgrace to our own sections." The glazed flame lightnet? Everyone was slightly stunned. They didn't expect these 3 people to be able to recognize the demonic beast's origin. However, the name was extremely unfamiliar, as if they had never heard of it. Bu Guanliang's contemplative expression suddenly turned into shock. "The ancient true spirit crystal flame lightnet? He's actually a true spirit? Oh. I didn't think that there would be someone among you with some knowledge." Yushua said sarcastically, "Don't be so surprised. He's just a true spirit descendant. The difference is huge. All of you can leave now. I will show you a little bit of my power to broaden your horizons." Everyone was burning with anger when they heard this. Luo Yuankai coldly mocked, "I don't think it's a good idea for you 2 to kill each other after you've both reached the true spirit realm, right?" The Long family's eyes flashed with ferocity. 3 pairs of eyes looked over at the same time. Yushua said coldly, "What did you just say?" "It seems that I need to exercise my muscles and bones before I capture Lu Yen." The man's aura exploded in an instant, and an overbearing force crossed the sky and pressed down on Luo Yuankai. Everyone felt the violent and wild power, and their faces changed. Bu Guangliang, who had been quiet all this while, said, "If the 3 of you have the ability, you should first subdue this monster beast. No matter how strong you are, do you really think you can compete with our 4 sects at the same time?"